Donald Trump's voters in the 2024 election are in for a very rude awakening. At least that's what Nobel Prize-winning economist Paul Krugman believes. Now, Krugman, in a recent podcast with the New York Times, who he also works for, obviously, said that a lot of voters, of course, voted based on economic anxiety. And that is what it was. They were unhappy with the current state of the economy. They ignored the gains that we had made under the Biden administration. They wanted things to be better than they are, even though we are on the right track. They thought we were on the wrong track, so they switched tracks to Donald Trump. And Krugman says that's going to come back and bite them in ways that they don't even realize. Here's what Krugman said during this podcast. As an economist, there's a great irony here, which is that the biggest single factor in Trump's victory was the fact that there was a burst of inflation. It's in the rearview mirror now, but people are still annoyed at how much things cost. And yet, Trump's economic program, as far as we can tell, is the most inflationary program probably that any American president has ever tried to implement. So the food on your table is largely put there by immigrants, many of whom will end up being deported. What's going to happen is that farm owners are going to have to pay much, much higher wages to get people to do those jobs, which the farmers will have to pass on in the form of higher prices. And that, of course, is just one area, right? And by the way, yes, that is something we have seen in states that have implemented, tougher immigration policies than what the federal government does. What they saw was that farms either had to raise their prices because they had to pay more for labor, or the farms just left vegetables and fruits rotting in the fields because nobody was available to do the jobs. That actually happened in Georgia. I believe it was 2012, maybe a year or two off on that. But yes, we have seen states try to do this, and it backfired horribly. And they all ended up reversing their policies when they realized what an economic drain it was. Trump won't do that. He absolutely will not do that. And it is going to screw us over because we have examples from the past to look at how bad this is. But Krugman says that's not the only thing. He worries that Trump will move to interfere with the Federal Reserve if it starts to raise interest rates again in the face of higher inflation. Krugman says, I have very little reason to believe that Trump will acknowledge that his policies are actually producing inflation, much more likely that he'll start putting pressure on government statistical agencies to report better numbers. That is what autocratic regimes have done around the world in the past. In other words, Krugman says that when everything goes to shit, Trump's just going to force the government agencies to lie to us about how great things really are. So, all of those voters who voted on economic anxiety, who voted based on inflation, thinking Biden wasn't doing enough, it's going to come back to hurt you. And I know that people, hearing this right now, I think y'all are all split. I think it's like 50-50. 50% of you are like, good, these people deserve it. And the other half are like, yeah, they deserve it, but it's still horrible and we don't want it to happen. Really, you look on, so the reason I say that is because you look on social media, those are the two reactions, right? You have the accelerationists who are like, good, burn it all to the ground. These people get what they deserve. And others who still have compassion that are like, no, we really don't want people to suffer. Even though they voted for the bad guy, we don't want them to suffer. And I don't know where I stand, unfortunately. I don't want people to suffer. I never do. It doesn't matter who you are, who you vote for, what you look like, where you live, what country you're from. None of that matters to me. I don't want you to suffer. But at the same time, you picked the guy that promised to do these things. Maybe you should see how it turns out. And maybe, I don't know, maybe every economist in the world is wrong and Trump's policies will work. As I said, every economist, including conservative ones that have looked at this, say, nope, this is going to be bad. Maybe they're all wrong and Trump's the smart guy. Maybe I'll look stupid when all this is over. I don't know, but I'm pretty sure I'm going to side with the Nobel Prize-winning economists because Krugman is not the only one who's warned us about this. over the guy who spent the last 4 years lying to us about the 2020 election being stolen. Thanks for watching, everybody, and if you're not already, please subscribe to the channel. We got fresh content every day for you. And if you want to follow us across social media, make sure you check out all of the social links that we have posted in the description of this video.